Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you appear to be looking at this video. It's the second part of our lecture series for CIST 1300 Intro to Web Development at the University of Nebraska Omaha in the summer of 2020, right post-COVID-19 apocalypse. So this is not the way I prefer to have a conversation with all of you about web dev, but it's probably the second best way to do it. At least we get a little pseudo face-to-face time. So what we're going to do is dive right in. I want to talk about, once again, real quick, PuTTY and WinSkip. Mac users, again, double check your how do I log in. Understand that it's not odin.ist. I am sorry, I absolutely forgot that was in there. It's just odin.unomaha.edu, the same as I'll show you here in a minute with PuTTY. So you would SSH your NetID at odin.unomaha.edu, and then when you see the prompt for the password, type your password in just like a PuTTY person would. For you guys today, we're going to be doing some transferring in and out of images, and you guys will need to check out the you guys will need to check out the CyberDuck. And I do have a little walkthrough based on the Windows version of CyberDuck for you. If you can't figure it out from there, we'll have to get together and try and work on it, via Zoom or something like that. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we're going to get started with how to get logged in with PuTTY again, and then we're going to get logged in with WinSkip as well. So give me a moment while we get this up and running. Okay, that does not appear. Let's try this one more time. Okay, I think we're working on it. So let me bring up PuTTY. And again, our host name is odin.unomaha.edu. Making sure I spelled it correctly there. I always go down to window and appearance, and I change my appearance so that I can, well, basically see things better. I'm going to go to 16-point font, bold, and just Courier New is fine with me today. I'm going to click OK there. If you find that your section keeps flittering out, you can go down here to connection, and you'll see there's a seconds between keep alives. Set that to about 60. What that does is every 60 seconds, it will send a ping back to Odin to make sure that Odin knows you have not walked away and started to watch, the entire season of something on Netflix. Then go back to the session. If you want to, you can put a name in there to save it as. If you don't want to, if you prefer to log in every time all the way through, that's fine too, especially if you're on a computer that's used by more than one person in the family. And then all you have to do is click open at this point. If you save it, you would highlight it and then load, and then you can go ahead and open it. Or you could just double click on it in the saved list and go directly there. So since I've got everything I need right now, I'm just going to open what my settings are as they are. So I'm going to log in with my NetID. Now, remember at this point that cursor will not move. So I've got, I can't remember how long it is, 14 or 15 character password. Notice as long as I'm typing, it does not even look at it. And I think I hit a bad key, and I certainly did. So give me a moment here so I stop talking. There we go. Even if it says access denied the first time, go to the second one, and usually typing slower makes it happen easier. and that will get you in. If it bugs you out after 4 or 5 tries, just go away for 15 minutes, pet the dog, scratch the cat, jumping down in your room, screaming at the top of your lungs how unfair life is. Nah, don't do that. Or maybe you should. Kind of a stress breaker, right? But the point is, after 15 minutes, come back and try it again. And if you still can't get in after 15 minutes, then give me an email and we'll talk to the sysadmins. Now, remember, right now I am at the base of my directory tree, J Blackmore at Odin. That's where I log in every time. That's where you'll log in every time, except not Jeff Blackmore, but your NetID at Odin. And remember, between the colon and the tilde, the little squiggly line, and the $ is your cursor. So as I move up the tree, or down the, I don't really care. I always say moving up the tree. I use the CD or change directory command, and the place that we're going to be using the most right now is going to be our public_HTML directory. So CD public_HTML. Whoops. It says no such file or directory, and I think you'll see that I misspelled public. So CD I don't know how I got the Q and the E. Well, never mind. So now if you notice, my cursor says colon, tilde, the / says this is a degree, or a directory rather, public_HTML. The $ says we're done with the cursor. Remember, you can hit print working directory, PWD, and if you'll notice, you basically get the same information. The home here is not our home. It's the home for the Odin server. Now, I've been working on Loki for many years, so I may slip and say the Loki server once in a while. Please just auto-translate from Jeff to regular English and know that Loki is actually now Odin. All right? So, for you guys, you should have ls-l will show you what you have. Let's do it that way. So it's ls-l. It's not the 1, it's not the I, it is L. This one, only lowercase. Or was it this one? Wasn't it? Whatever. Oh no, that's Vogue, right? Anyway, what you want to do is look and see what you've got in your public_HTML directory. Right now, you should have A1. And that's it. So CD into A1. Do an ls-l again to see what's there. You see, I've got a lot of stuff that I've talked about with people in here. And all this means is that A1 will contain your index.html, hopefully, for the almost punch and run. Actually, I don't know what this is right now, but let's try index.bak. I'm going to vim index.bak. Remember, any file name you have is case sensitive. That includes directory names. So capital A1 is not the same as lowercase a1. And it's not giving me highlighting here because it's not an HTML file. Right now it's listed as a capital BAK or a back file, which means virtually nothing to anyone except a programmer as a backup. But if we do something else here, well, 2025 bytes, let's try it. So let's vim index.html, which is right underneath the back by a couple. And there you see we have context highlighting. And if I showed you it, it would look okay, except it would not have all the requirements for the almost punch and run, but it would have at least one of them. So what does a Canadian pirate say? I know it's not funny, but it kicks with third graders. They laugh like crazy at it. Anyway, if you don't see the context highlighting, there's probably one of two things going wrong. You've been working on assignment 0, so you're seeing a plain text file which doesn't have any of, like body and div, what we call reserved words in programming language. Text is just text. It doesn't have any highlighting. On the other hand, when you get into a programming language, it will have keywords, words that mean something special to the interpreter, the compiler, or whatever you've got that makes the program run. Mostly it's either going to be a compiler or an interpreter. Even a browser in most ways is an interpreter, because it's taking the tags that you put in and interpreting them to display it on the screen for other people to look at and gain information from it. So let's get out of here. Remember, that's escape to get in command mode, : write and quit. Now, I am up into the A1 directory. If I want to go down one directory level, I need to do CD and ... CD ... will take me from A1 back from the highest branch I've climbed up, down one branch to public_HTML. So ls-l again will show me what's in there. But we know that we're coming up on assignment 2, which will be handed out tonight. So we need to make a directory, mkdir. And since we have assignment 1, lowercase a, and the numeral 1, this is assignment 2, A2. So we're going to go ahead and hit the enter key. For me, it's already there. But once you have that in, do a CD and an A2. And then you can ls-l. Now, you'll notice that I have a couple index files and I have an images directory. So what you guys will have is nothing. It'll be a big fat goose egg, as my grandparents used to say. It'll be a 0. What we need to do first and foremost is we need to make the images directory. So just like we did a moment ago to create A2, we want to use the mkdir make directory command, and we're going to call the directory we make not image, but images. Now again, you won't get a message. I am getting the cannot because the file exists already. And you see, I have an images directory right there. Once we get this created, let's CD into images real quick. And you will notice that I'm there. Notice my cursor, right? So the tilde and then it's /, it's a directory, public_HTML, A2 images. So images is in A2, A2 is in public_HTML. All 3 of them are in the J. Blackmore at Odin account. Really easy if you take a look at it from right to left and think of it as, well, think about it as you remember the old Russian stacking dolls where you get one big wooden doll and you take her top half off and there's a smaller doll right inside it. You take the top half of that one up and again, there's a smaller doll, etc., etc. So that's kind of what we're doing there. We're peeling off the layers as we go down from images to A2 to public and then to the very smallest doll of all, which is the J. Blackmore at Odin account. All right, I'm going to ls-l here again just to make sure I know what's there. So I've got a lot of stuff in here because, well, I've been using this directory off and on since 2011, as you can see. But what we're going to do eventually is we are going to put an image in that directory of you. And you're going to have to do the majority of the work here because social distancing says I can't be here in a classroom or in my office to help you very much. But if you're really, really stuck, we can talk about this again, or we can get together via individual Zoom meetings. So what I want to do right now is I want to go from images to the A2 directory. Now remember, what we're doing right now is going from directory to directory. So I'm going to CD, 2 dots takes me down 1 branch, and hit the enter key. So I'm no longer in images, I'm down in A2. But again, if I ls minus L, you see that images is part of my A2 directory. Now, the other thing I need to do is I need to bring the template.txt into A2 from public_HTML and call it index.html. So it's really easy. It sounds like it's difficult, but it's not. We're going to use copy CP, and if all of these little keywords bug you, remember to go check out the tutorials on the Canvas. I keep wanting to call it Blackboard. On the Canvas site, there should be one up there with, I believe it's in the PowerPoints. But just look, it's in the open stuff somewhere. Anyway, we want to copy and we want to go down into public_HTML. So think back a few minutes ago as to how we went down one directory from images to A2. We use cd ... Well, this time we're using copy. So we don't use CD, but we can still do ... which says go down one directory. Look for template. If I do temp and hit the tab key, it'll give me template. So I know it's there and I can do .txt. Now, don't get happy about the enter key yet. This gives us 2/3 of the command that we need to do the copy. So remember I said last time that we had a command, a space, an object that we were going to use the command on, and sometimes we'd need a third command. And that third command is saying, I want to rename that index.html. Now, I also talked about flags. We want to add a flag anytime we copy something like that called the interactive flag. And you can do that by adding a minus lowercase I. So what that will do, let's see it the first time. I'm going to ls minus L. That gives us index.html, May 28th at 2:19 in the afternoon. Just what we want. Now, that's going to be the template. That's going to have, you know, everything around it with just some text. And where just some text is where we are going to get together and make magic happen. Now, we know we've got index.html there. But what if we had used this command and index.html already existed? Now this is the template.txt to index.html minus I. If we hit the enter key here, it will say copy, overwrite index.html. If you didn't remember that you had an index.html there, it's always better to say no, go back in and take a look at what you've got. Maybe you worked on this, you know, all weekend long and then forgot when the day of the due date comes around. So you're trying in a hurry just to get everything done. This would save you the loss of several hours of work. So always remember to use the interactive key, the minus I, when you're doing copies into other directories especially. I'm going to say no because I know that we've already got it because we just sent that over there. Okay. Let's do this. Actually, no, let's do something else here. I'm going to cd dot one more and get down into public underscore HTML. And then I keep all of my classes in separate files within public underscore HTML because I want to be able to grab everything from one place. So ls space minus l here. And I've already got some of the stuff that we're going to be working on in the future in here already. I already have, well, that was redundantly redundant, but it's still okay. I want to cd into test here for just a moment because I don't remember what's in that. ls minus l will tell me, that's my normalize. Okay, that's fine. If I want to take and delete something, I'm going to remove that name. Be very careful because if you've got two files, normalize.css and normalize.html, and you remove normalize.html instead of CSS, you're wiping it out. You can try to get it from the backup server that's mentioned on the not the Canvas site, wow. That's mentioned on the Odin page, but that might not save the last few minutes of work or the last half hour of work that you did. It all depends on if you're lucky enough to have it saved recently rather than a half an hour ago. Anyway, so RM stands for remove, and it both has to be spelled correctly, and many times it's going to be automatically destructive. So ls space minus l. Let's try this one. So, I'm going to have to get them to put that back on. So right now we have a directory that we can access, which we are going to put a simple website on. So what I want you to do is get to this point, go into your public underscore HTML directory and just put test. Make a directory called test, mkdir space test, and hit your enter key. cd into it. And what that will allow you to do is copy one level down to get into your public underscore HTML. I think I put a template. Yeah, I've got a template in the summer 20 as well. So I'm going to do the same thing that you'll have to do, just kind of eliminate summer 20 there from your brain cells. So cp /template .txt space, and we always want our first page, our landing page, to be index.html. Boom. Now, ls space minus l, and we notice even on mine, we only have one file, and that is index.html. So we're going to use the Vim tool again, index.html, and we've got our doc type up there. I'm sorry to show it to you one letter at a time, but we're going to get rid of this as soon as I can make sure they allow us to do it. There's something called vimrc, which should allow you to change the background colors, and I just have not had time with everything else on the plate to take care of that before now, but we will talk about the vimrc either in the recorded lecture on next Thursday in June, or we'll talk about it in the 5:30 meeting time for a regular class. So again, the template gives us basically everything that we could need, those 6 items to make a standards compliant HTML page. And all I'm doing is cleaning it up a little bit so that it's easier to tell what's what and where it belongs. Now, if I hit escape and go to command, I can do 2Ds in a row. ED, and it will take out an entire line of text. There are other options about cutting things out, deleting things. You can go through the Vim tutorial. Frankly, that's something that I really don't need, but we're going to do just a very, very simple little web page. So let's do, again, an H1, just like we had before. And let's do my favorite pet. And then we're going to close our H1. Now, remember, escape :W writes, saves it, and then it allows us to continue. What I would tend to tell you is about every 5 minutes you get in the habit of doing escape :W, hit the enter key and go back to insert and start working again. The more often you save, the less likely it's going to be that you lose an entire, 3 or 4 pages worth of typing, of coding. Now, we've got my favorite pet. I don't care what your favorite pet is. It's up to you. Let's just do a paragraph. I am more fond of, I don't care what it is. Cats. After themselves. And they don't go poo on the carpets. Close that. Whoops. I forgot my pee. Cats don't pee on the carpets either, for the most part. What else have we learned? We've learned about comments. So the less than, the bang, and 2 forward slashes, and it turns it to that god-awful dark blue. But again, next week I'll try and make sure that we can fix this. The eternal debate on best pet now continues. And then we do 2 minus keys and a greater than. And notice that turns everything away from being blue. Just the comment is now blue. What else can we do? Oh, let's separate this into a section. So we're going to do a div, stands for division. And this is a division of the page that is going to talk about favorite pets. So let's do an ID or an identifier equals pet, double quote. Whoops, guess what I forgot? Wrap that in double quotes and put a greater than at the end of it. And then down here where you see div ID equals validator, that's where those 2 buttons are, or badges. That's where we want to close the div. So just like any other container tag, that div actually holds information in place until you put /div, which puts the cap on it. Okay? So that looks pretty good style-wise. Let's hit the escape, write it again. And I want to come back out here. Whoops. Just because I've already got, well, I don't already have it, but I can pick any of these have most of it written anyway. So from J Blackmore, I want to do summer 20/test. And there we go. But we're not done yet. First of all, I see a spelling error I need to fix. That's OHN after poo but before the carpets. So I'm just going to leave this right here. This I'm going to minimize for a while. But I need to bring my cursor. Remember, we're using the arrow keys. We're not using the mouse. And I just need to hit the delete right there. For Mac users, you're going to have to be on the OHN. You're going to be on the N, and you have to hit your backwards delete. For Windows keyboards, delete deletes forward of the cursor. Backspace deletes from the cursor back. So OHN for a Windows person would be on the N, backspace 1, and it gets rid of the H. But if they're on the O and the H is in front of them, they can hit a delete key. You know what? Without knowing, or without just reading, that's boring as hell. So what I'm going to do here, just quickly, is I'm going to come back to my favorite pet. I'm going to hit the plus key so I get a new page. And I want a picture, a white cat. Well, might as well use that one. Now, right click and let's see, save image as. I'm just going to drop it on my desktop, except all I'm going to call it is white cat. Hopefully this will be an image that you earn. We're going to use this image tonight just as a way to learn. You're not claiming any ownership over it, and if you tried to, I would yell at you myself. So don't claim any ownership, but we're going to utilize that. Now, we need to, and you can, set your phasers to stun. No, we need to go into our Canvas account, and you'll land on the home directory, but we want to go down to modules and scroll all the bloody way down until you find web links. You're going to find the Irfan View homepage. You can right click on open in a new window, or they're just going to take you to another page where they're going to open it for you in a new window. Irfan View is a very, very lightweight image viewer and manipulator. I have used it for, God, I don't know how many years, at least 20 years. It's free. It's always been free. There's offers that you can, send in money if you want to, obviously, but it's a pretty amazing product. Let's put it this way. It's got a lot of the functionality of Photoshop or GIMP without the high overhead of memory that it uses. I'm going to kill that because I don't personally prefer my students download from the buttons there. Instead, I've got the download site that I prefer, and it should be set up, yep, right there. Go to Windows 64-bit. I don't know if there's a Mac version of this, but please look. And where are we going? There we go. So save file to your desktop, boom. Once that's down, you can actually just go to your downloads button and click on it to open file. You can follow the prompts. Here, it says, I want to take over all of the image files if you click images only. This will also play some video files and so forth, MPEGs, AVIs, that kind of thing. But I prefer to have a different player for those files. So just images only, you click next, and just put it in the Irfan view folder is good enough. Click next again, and you want to change. You guys go ahead and click yes unless you have a favorite photo viewer. I'm not going to do it because I've already got this installed. That's why it says installation successful. And you can read through that other page if you want to. So now I have, sorry, I couldn't click on it because of the share window for Zoom. So I've got to put that back up and out of the way now. This is what it is. And basically it's all that it is. It is just a software-based image manipulator. I'm going to minimize that as well. Now, let me find her. Oh, there it is. There's what the beginning Irfan view icon looks like. So you can find that and open it up. What I'm looking for is the white cat I downloaded. Or let's do it the easy way. File, open, and we want to go to our desktop and image types. And here's everything I have on my desktop for images. There's my kitten. Ooh, except from that direction, she looks like a big kitty. And this is zoomed because the original image is 1426 by 980. So we've got it zoomed down considerably. An 89:1 ratio, is that what it is? I can't see it. But what we do with this is we take our image and we want to go down here to where it says resize, resample. Or you can click Control-R if you want to. So right down here, sometimes you're going to see a chain and a broken chain on things like links and aspect ratio. This says aspect ratio proportional, which means since this is 1600 wide by 1030 high, it's a rectangular image, and it will keep that rectangular shape. If you have a portrait which is higher than it is wide, and you put both of those height and width to the same number, you're going to probably wind up looking like the girl that turns into a blueberry in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So what I want to do is I want to take this down to an image size that I think is appropriate for a website. And I'm just going to change the width to 300. Ooh, that didn't work very well. Guess what Control-Z does? It brings it back. So let's try this again. Image, resize, resample. That's because while I was moving my cursor back and forth, I accidentally unclicked the aspect, the preserve ratio. Now if I do this at 300, notice it automatically sets my height from 1030 to 193 pixels. And if I click OK now, that looks like it should look. So I'm going to keep the big one just in case I need it for some reason. I'm going to save this one as white cat dash small. Or you can use an underscore if you prefer. That's entirely up to you. So now this is small. And where's my other white kitty? Oh, good Lord. Too much on here. Let's do this again because that was easy to find. Let's put you over there. That was my Zoom meeting bar. We're going to file, whoops, open, and we should say see white cat. There it is, and click open. You see there's a considerable amount of difference in the viewable size. But let's go back to this image, and we're going to click information here. This is almost 5 megabytes. It's a lot of data to push over the web. And if you're the person that owns that website, you pay for every bit of that data that goes from your site to your customer. Let's look at image and information over here on the little one. It goes from 5 megabytes nearly down to 115.9 kilobytes. So there's an extreme decrease in the amount of data you're pushing out over the web. The better image to put up, and people aren't going to notice really a lot of the difference unless they're looking for high quality cat pictures, is this one. All right, I'm going to let you play around with our fan view on your own time. But what I want to do right now is I want to show you what we're going to do with this smaller cat picture. And this says, oh, it's in my documents. Of course it's in my documents. Okay, let's go back to, that's good enough. And let's go to documents, and let's bring white cat small out and put her right there. Okay, it works for me. So, sure she's available. Now, one of the things we talked about in the last set of videos, and I think a little bit when we were doing the kind of classroom Q&A thing via Zoom last week, is we also talked about WinSkip, Windows Secure Copy Program. And I mentioned again today, even for you Mac users, you'll have to use CyberDuck or maybe FileZilla, although I've never used it and can't recommend it because I've never used it. But you can find it out there somewhere. I would suggest strongly that you use CyberDuck. And I think my link in Canvas should have a link straight to the download section. So here is WinSkip. And we're going to not even bother to upgrade it right now. Okay, so you'll see it's Secure File Transfer Protocol. And it's port 22. That should be familiar with you from PuTTY. odin.unomaha.edu, my username and my password. I've already filled them in. Notice I've saved them up here. They don't necessarily recommend that you save your password, but nobody gets on this machine except me and the sysadmin, so I think I'm pretty safe. Once you've filled in these three, the host name, the username, and the user's password, then it's okay for you to hit login. If you've got it like this already saved, you can just double click on that and click login, or click on it once and log in. So all three of those works. This is, they call it an authentication banner. Basically, it's just a way for a system admin to say, hey, this is going to happen next week, or Odin was down, this is why, those kind of messages. And then click continue. You can choose not to see that anymore. It's up to you. Now, I was already here this afternoon, so that's why I'm in this directory, but you all will come in at your J Blackmore, your NetID account. What you'll need to do then for any of the HTML assignments is come to public_HTML. Since we did A2, click on that, click on images, and then what we want to do, since we've got our image on the desktop, is scroll all the way down to the W's, and let's go back to our white cat small. There we go. There's white cat and white cat small. And again, you can see the difference in what you're sending over there. So let's move it like that. We know that it's whitecatsmall.jpg and it's in the images directory. Cool. We can minimize this and get it out of our way for now. Come back to the PuTTY window. And I personally like putting the images right after the in-page title, the header one. And the way we put an image into our page is by using the image tag. So IMG is the image tag. Whoops, no caps. It will probably understand caps and display the page, but by convention, all tags in HTML5 are to be handled in lowercase. So image is our tag. It is, whoops, an atomic tag. So it closes with a / and a greater than. And there are two attributes that are required in an image tag. The first is what we call SRC. I'm sure that those people that play word games have already picked up that that's source, right? So source equals quotes. Now, how do we get that? And I was in overwrite mode. So, well, think about where we are. This particular document is index.html. If you kind of put yourself in the place of index.html, you're standing on index.html. Where is small, our white cat small? Well, we know that we put another box in that directory, and that box we called images. So what we need to do is type the word images, which says go over to the box labeled images. We're done with that now. We know exactly where we're at. And then we want to do white cat dash small.jpg. That's the first required attribute. That tells us where our picture lives, at least as far as our website is concerned. And then we also need alt text. If you had no images showing up on your page, how could you be able to tell what was in the image that didn't show up? Well, that's what alt text does. If a blind person is browsing the web, the alt text is what is read by their screen reader as the content of the image. So alt equals a adult white cat. Now, some people get silly in this, and I've got a couple examples where I get a little bit silly in it. But it really is important because people all over the world either browse without images because their internet connection sucks, and it takes a lot of time to download a page with images. Or like our previous blind person, they just simply rely on a screen reader or something to tell them what's on the screen because it's difficult for them to see it. So those two are the required attributes. Do you remember we talked about on last Thursday in the lectures a tag called title? Title is not required for an image tag, but we can do something that is not the alt, that we can be a little bit freer on, and we can do something like my white cat Lily. Now, I do have a white cat Lily, and if I had time, I would have gotten the images off of my cell phone and used that instead. But since we're doing this in a hurry, we want to get this done in about an hour so we can go on to the rest of the lecture. We're kind of skipping the step. If you were going to go live with this website out in the real world so that everybody in the universe and his brother or sister can see it, then you're going to want to have ownership or permission to use the image on your own website. People get sued every day for having images that don't belong to them on their website and serving them up millions of times. All right, so enough said there. That is a complete and syntactically correct image tag. Let's save it. At least I think it's syntactically correct. Let's go take a look and see if we're right. Now notice I don't have a cat, but if I hit the refresh key, I have something incorrect. I can tell that because I'm seeing my alt text here rather than my image. But it does tell me that I've got something correct. The image tag is correct, but I need to go check the path to my white cat picture, my picture of pseudo lily. One of the ways you can do this quickly is right-click View Page Source, and we want to come down here and just see the link, the underline there. Let's click on that. And this says 404 not found, which means we've got a problem there. Let's take a look at it. So I want to look over here too. And again, I've got images whitecat-small.jpg. No caps, and it's in the images directory. Okay. And we know we've got the 404 not found. So let's go back down here into Vim. I want to escape, write and quit. ls space -l. Okay. So again, just double checking summer 20 test and then index.html. Go back into the putty server. So ls -l. Aha. Curiouser and curiouser, said Alice to the White Rabbit. Wait a minute, we used this. Oh, you know why? Because I didn't put it where I was supposed to. This is public HTML A2 images. That's not where I'm at. That's not where my page is at. So I'm going to click back on public_HTML. I'm going to go down to my summer 20. You guys won't have the summer 20 step. There we go. And I need to go to test. And there's my images directory. So I'm going to right click and create a directory. This is just like doing it on the putty tool, but I'm doing it here really quickly so that, again, we can get done with this, give me a little bit of break to get some water, and then we're going to go back and do some more lecture. So all I've done here is I've created the images directory, and I've picked up White Cat Small from here off my my desktop, and I've dropped it into the images directory in the Odin server. I'm going to minimize WinSkip again. See, when I refresh that now, the link exists. And over here, we didn't have to change a bloody thing. Again, I can click on that and it shows me proof that the pseudo lily picture is right there. So I'm going to come back over here, hit refresh, and there we go. Now, there's one more thing I want to do with this before I cut this video off. And that is back here. I want to vim index.html. Now, if you remember last week, one of the things I did is I turned the color of one sentence on that initial page to be, I think it was Dodger blue because it was the only thing I could remember at the time. We did that using an inline style, and the inline style is an attribute using the style attribute. So that was redundantly redundant too. Oh well. So what I want to do is I want to take and type style. Whoops. That's style with an S, by the way. And then equals quote. And this is in my image directory, or my image tag. Float colon left. There you go. So we're always going to have a CSS rule, a colon, modifier to that particular rule. Float left or right is basically what we have. And then a semicolon which says I'm done with the CSS rule. And the whole rule or list of rules, because you can have multiples, is contained within those double quotation marks. And just because I don't like things running together, I'm going to put myself another space over there. So my cursor is empty right now. There's nothing underneath it. I'm going to escape, colon W to write and save it. Now, you're going to see it pop a little bit as I hit refresh. And watch this line of text. Cool, huh? So what the float does is it says, I'm going to float off to the left, and any text that you want to type is going to go around my right side. And we'll learn more about inline CSS as we go through the first few assignments. So I think this is a pretty good way to go. It's a great way to stop for right now. And what we're going to do from here is we're going to go back to the PowerPoint slides, and we're going to run through those. And even though I like dogs, you got to admit, she's still a pretty kitty. Anyway, I'll see you guys in a few minutes. We are going to